Welcome to this week's video, and this week I've picked myself up another Nintendo Switch. So this one, condition wise, is not too bad. It's not turning on. I got it off eBay and it was just over £35 including delivery. So the issue is, it said it was left outside in the playhouse, so it's got possible water damage. So we plug it in and then we get a minor charge, but what should normally happen is it will drop to 0 and then start fully up. So this one's not booting, so we need to open it all up. So we get our iFixit kit out, and then we take the tri-wing screws up the back, the Phillips heads around the side, peel the back cover off, same on the heat shield, take all the screws out there, take that off. First thing we do is disconnect the battery, and then we need to have a closer look under the microscope. So straight off you can see there is a lot of water damage on this. So something's happened, condensation, something's leaked through, but it's not in great condition. A lot of the ribbon cables have damage. On the NAND chip there's damage. As we get up to the card reader we can see water damage, so it's all over, it's not great. So I'm going to have to remove the motherboard completely. So we remove all the screws, release all the ribbon cables, get the motherboard out itself, and then we'll have another little closer look under the microscope. So as you can see, we've got damage here. The ribbon cable connected to the screen seems to be damaged. We'll flip the NAND off. The Wi-Fi chip underneath doesn't look bad. All these chips here, they've all got some kind of corrosion around them, so they're all going to need a good clean. The chips on the back, more corrosion along the bottom, along the top, it's all not great. So I'll just quickly check for some shorts. So if it beeps both sides on any of these chips, it means there's a short. But they all seem to be working fine. It could still have an issue, but normally they don't. We'll also check around the BQ chip, the charging chip. All these caps seem fine as well. So I'm just going to release the cover that covers the CPU and the RAM to see if there's any damage underneath here. So we just use a pin to bend off the tabs, and then we'll lift it away, and then we can see a little bit of water damage around about the main CPU, so this isn't good. So I think I'm going to have to do some kind of a deep clean. We'll have a little look at the top where the ribbon cable is as well. There's definitely damage up there. Possibly this is where it's shorted out. So my plan is to use an ultrasonic cleaner. So I've got my ultrasonic cleaner heated up. And then we'll pop the board in. We make sure that it's fully submerged, so everything is underneath the fluid. So push it right under, top it all up if we need to, drop it down a bit. Now that's fine. I'll take off all the covers that I can. And then I'll just twist it round. And then what I normally do is I normally put it on for 5 minutes on one side. Let it do its thing. And then I'll flip it over and then do 5 minutes on the other side. This way the ultrasonic is giving it a good shake, it's giving it a good clean, it's getting into all the chips. So if they don't seem quite covered while it's going, it's getting to them. So now we're done. It's very warm, so just be careful taking it out. So I'll just get my tweezers, very carefully lift it out. There is going to be fluid underneath some of these chips, so what we need to do is give it as good clean as possible. So first off, I remove all the excess by just giving it a good shake. Now I'm going to pop it in a bowl, and now I'm going to apply 99.9% isopropyl alcohol. So this is going to help remove a lot of the water. So tip all that in, and then we'll come in with our scrubbing brush or just a general brush and give it a good clean all over. So we're trying to remove any of the excess that might still be on there. Keep giving it a good clean front and back, and then we'll pop out again, shake off all the excess. And then what I find is the best way is to come with some canned air or even a hot air station and blow towards all the BJ chips to remove any of the fluid from underneath, making sure it's fully dry. Now we get it back under the microscope and you can still see there's a little bit of corrosion around some of the caps and around some of the chips, so we just give it a little bit of a clean. This ribbon cable looks to be damaged, so I think this might be the first thing that we're going to have to do. There could be some damage to the trace. I tried to give it a little bit of a clean, but it's not cleaning up great, so I feel like it's going to need to be swapped over. So coming with some flux, hot air from underneath, normally around about 380. Keep moving it, make sure you don't touch any of the caps underneath it. And then after a minute or two, the solder will begin to melt. And then once it begins to melt, we can come with our tweezers and then lift away. Coming with some fresh flux, some fresh solder, and then retin all of the pads. Make sure all the pads have got solder all over them. That middle one that I had a bit of trouble with, I'll just double check that one. So it just needs a little bit of a scrape, so there is some corrosion on that one. And then a little bit more flux again, coming with solder again. And then just as I said, make sure every pad is covered in solder to make sure the new connector is going to fit perfect. So rub a little bit of the excess flux away, we don't need as much that's on there. And then you come in with the new ribbon cable connector, position it as best as you can, and then we'll come in with some heat underneath. And then again, just keep moving it round, and then after a couple of minutes, the solder will start to solidify, and most of the time, the port will slide into place. If it's not quite moving, you might need to give it a little bit of a nudge, but you have to be really careful as it slides so easily. Then I'm happy with that, hold it down a little bit more to make sure it's in place, remove the heat, let it cool. Quick look under the microscope, and the pins, not as great as I expected. I've got a join there, so it's not the best connection that I've done, but it's okay for now. And then I'll apply a little bit of flux here, and then I'll just come in with my soldering iron to remove that bridge. Then we'll give it a quick clean of isopropyl, and then I'll have a little look at the ribbon cable. So there seems to be a little bit of damage on this as well. So I'll come in with my microfiber brush and give it a little bit of a wipe. You need to be careful not to take off too much of the metal covering. Give it a clean. So as you can see, there's no corrosion. The connections are all made. Also look at the other ones on there. So this ribbon cable at the bottom, the backlight one just needs a bit of a wipe. So I'll reconnect the NAND chip to the board. I'll come in with my battery. We'll connect the battery. We'll come in with an amp meter. Plug it in. And as you can see, I'm pretty much getting the same reading as before. So it's not turning off and turning back on, so I'm not getting a boot sequence. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like I've currently fixed this one. So I'll leave it plugged in. I come with my thermal camera to see if anything's getting hot. And other than the BQ chip, which is supposed to get warm, nothing else is heating up. So I'm not quite sure what my issue is. I'm not getting any noticeable shorts around any of the chips. None of the caps are getting overly hot. So I'm at a little bit of a loss of what to do next. So I decided just to plug it back into the housing just in case, plug it all in. As you can see, I'm getting the 15 volts, I'm getting a good ampage, but I'm not getting the turn on. Nothing coming on the screen, nothing's happening. Any advice from people watching would be great. I currently have to put this down as a no fix, but if you can help me out in any way, please leave a comment. Thanks very much for watching, please like, comment and subscribe.